Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. This evening, I'm blessed to have Honorable. Oh, not Honorable. Are you Honorable, my friend?
I'm headed there. Maybe soon.
Ah,
That may be God's voice. I'm
oh,
headed there, hopefully.
unataka kuingia huko na mtu chote, kwa sababu nyinyi hata ma-honorable member hatufanyii vizuri baba.
Once I get into those positions, I'll not even demand that I be called honorable
Why?
because there's no need of you being given heavy names, but you
Yeah.
can't really, if you can't do what is right, there's no. I think because we've given them these big names, they now feel that they're some demigods, and that is why we are not seeing them really doing what they're supposed to do. So, if maybe I get into that position or those positions,
Yeah.
uh, I'll live a normal life. And
Uh-huh.
among the things that I'll do as a member of parliament or as a someone who is representing a group of people,
Mm-hmm.
uh, let me give you an example. If suppose I was a governor in this government,
Mm.
I would first uh, remind the president that we have a debt to pay, a debt of
True.
almost 12, 13, 13 trillion to pay.
Yeah.
So with these salaries that they give, millions of salaries that they give to the governors,
Yes.
I would volunteer that they take more than half of my salary
Mm-hmm.
so that we work as an example to others. We talk to the people of Kenya as concerned leaders. We repay first the debt that is making us, that is choking us, that is making us not afford our daily lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think if I was in that position, I would encourage all leaders to come up so that we contribute as a people, because where we are now, if we don't come up with a solution, we will not get out of it. So any
Okay.
serious leader actually,
Mm-hmm.
that's just my thinking, or maybe I would advise the people that
Yeah.
we've gotten there, now we have to look for a solution, and the solution is leaders coming in front
Mm-hmm.
to start by contributing so that we get out of that. Because if we continue the way we are continuing,
Yeah.
we're not going to get out of these debt situations that we are facing as a country.
Okay, thank you so much, Makobura. Otherwise, how is your evening?
My evening is okay.
Yep.
Uh, Hopefully today I didn't see serious, uh, serious tear gas. Let me say serious. We were not followed so much today
Yeah.
by the police, and I did see young people coming out to demonstrate, as we had witnessed sometimes back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my day was okay. I hope the day of others was also okay. But I've also seen that there's a good number of youths who have been arrested, almost 137,
Mm-hmm.
while they were demonstrating. So we are yet to fully understand why.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've also seen so many things today. I
Okay.
think we're having a discussion on one by one. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I also you talked about several youths being arrested. I also saw some of the youths were just arrested. They were very peaceful, and the police just came around and just arrested them. I saw a group of young people who were just seated on the road somewhere. The police came and just arrested them and put them in their car. That was awesome. And another thing was, though, I also saw the police lobbing tear gas to peaceful protesters, and I don't know. And this as much as we talk about the police and on how to manage the crowd and how to engage with the protesters, I think we are we are still witnessing a situation whereby um, our police, the way they engage with protesters, is not at level that we would say. they are doing a good job. It, to me, it's enmity between the police and protesters, especially when people are coming out to protest. Maybe people have built this notion whereby you say that, okay, this is a war, and a war is provided that as a protester, I see the police, the next thing I will have to repel, and the police also come with the same. So that understanding of the management of the protesters and how should the police handle, and at what point is it that police is allowed now even to lobby tear gas? At what point is police allowed now? I can arrest you. At what point? Yeah, So those are some of the things that maybe should be worked upon. And today, Nane Maandamamo Makobura, I think it has come a long way from 25th June until where we are today. It has been a very, very long journey with some achievement, a very, very long journey with some disappointment along the way, political disappointment. But what is the way forward now, especially for the the Gen Z who are pushing for reforms in various governmental departments and in the leaders, coming accountability, transparency, how we want to know on how attacks the corruption. What is the way forward?
Maybe before you get into the way forward for the Gen Zs,
Yeah,
allow me to say something about the police.
yeah,
First, as a country, I think it is being said that Kenya has one of the best constitutions
yeah,
in Africa. And that's a fact because this constitution has enabled us to get out of the field
yeah.
and to go to the streets and to demonstrate and to remind the people in power that as much as they are leaders, they have to listen to the people who have given them the mandate to lead. So police, it is their role is very much stipulated in the constitution. They know what they are supposed to do. But again, the drafters of the constitution that we
Yeah,
have now in Kenya 2010, the constitution which was promulgated in 2010,
yeah,
they had in mind when they were uh, when they were talking about the role of the police, they wanted it to the police to be loyal as much as they were going to be that the roles of course is well known.
mm-hmm.
We in their mind they wanted a police similar to a police department similar to that of United States of America, where and Raila has always said this, that there's a difference on how police in Kenya carry or interact with the people
Yeah,
compared to, let's say, United States, because it says that in United States of America, if a citizen maybe is walking in the streets and then maybe they are not aware of, maybe they are not familiar with the places they're going, they should they share with the police would just walk them there.
mm-hmm.
Like it's like a role of the police to help the people in United States of America.
True.
But this mentality is very different here in Kenya because we see normal Kenyans see policemen or police officers
Mm-hmm.
as enemies of progress, as people who like violence, as people who are there to kill.
Mm-hmm.
That is the thinking of a normal Kenyan.
Yeah,
To an extent that if Kenyans see police officers in uniform,
mm-hmm.
sometimes you just see them running away. It's like a bad person or someone with ill intention is coming to them.
Okay.
So I don't know how this one can be solved because a police officer should be someone who is very close to the citizens.
Mm-hmm.
If the police officer gets to a point where they become close to the people,
Yeah.
even the conflicts that we are seeing in the country would not happen. The killings that we are seeing will not happen.
Mm-hmm.
So
But let me tell you something about you talked about the United States. It also has so many candidates that come to it.
you are not very, very clear. I don't know why.
I'm not very clear.
At times you are, at times It's
Now,
not clear.
am I
Yeah,
clear?
it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, when you talk about the police of the United States, they also have like challenges that comes with it. As much as some of the things are said by our leaders, but they are kind of like when you come to the on the ground, you will find it is not the way it is being said. That the times, okay, when you're lost and you need direction, you would call 911. They will direct you the best way they can or the best way they could. That is there, but also there are incidences whereby some people have also complained of the police, especially the people from minorities, on how the police are handling them. So it's it is a pool of so many challenges, not as what he said, but again, if you look at the police um, in United States, it's the way they are working. It's quite much different because you will find, like, Kenya, we have the police that control the national. The police is national. It's controlled by the federal government. But when you come to the United States, you will find each and every state and moving towards going down in hierarchy, whereby you have a county, you have a town, so they have their own police with the different uniforms and how they operate. So the police system in United States is um, um, so much I mean, like, so much detailed on how they do their job, even the areas they work at, because sometimes you might be driving and you're in another area that does not belong to that police officer. He might call the police around that area, then they will hand you and do that. So, but our police, we are still a very, 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 very far away, and very, very, very I don't know what to say in terms of crowd management and how will I deal with the protesters. Like, sometimes we see the protesters as the enemy of the police. Not all of them, but I know some of the men and women in uniform in Kenya that are also doing a good job. There are those who stand out to be understanding the situation. One of the points that a police should always maintain, the police should de-escalate the situation. How do I, if the how do I make sure that the situation becomes calm? Yeah. So, and even if the situation is so much violent, how can I, as a police officer, what am I going to do? Because, like, you are in charge of maintaining law and order. But in some cases, we find, like, majority of our police and our protesters, the majority always comes out that they lose their life very recklessly. Like a situation whereby a Kenyan citizen should not lose his life. So that is something that is there. So, Makobura, let's not dwell so much about the police. That is a topic that we might discuss another day. But some of our men and women in uniform are great in their duties. That is something that we have to accept. And majority of them are not doing what they're supposed to do. That is also something that we have to accept. So, Mr. Makubura, now the Nane Maandamamo is here. I think now the town is a bit calm. Today, it was not as much as we expected it to be. And if you look at areas like Kisumu, Migori, Siaya, those places were really, really, business was as usual. There was nothing much taking place. What does that one speak to you?
On the issue of Nane Maandamamo, which was there today,
Yeah.
the people did not come out as we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason why most people did not come out, and especially in the Nyanza region and maybe the coast, is a good number of their leaders
Yeah.
or people who are perceived to be leaders in those regions had a conversation with the government in power, and they had been given some uh, acknowledgement that they would be part of the government. So that, in one way or another, has made the people feel that maybe they should slow down, and they give the government time, and especially with the new nominees of cabinets, they give the government time to see on how they're going to try to change or to put in place the issues that they had raised.
Hmm.
So, if, for example, you go to Kisumu, I was watching the clip, and most people are saying that the chairman of the ODM was given a chance to be a cabinet secretary under treasury. That Opio Wandai, the former minority leader, was also nominated to head the docket of energy. And also, uh, if you go to Western, Paranya was given also a mandate to lead the docket. So there's this thinking that their political or area leaders have been given an opportunity. But again, remember, as much as the youths were having different opinion,
Yep.
remember they've been following political leaders for quite some time,
Yeah.
and we know that Raila Amolo Odinga, being the head of ODM and Azimio, he's been having many followers in the Nyanza region and Western. So as much as he's not done what is right for the youth, but some people still have this mind that maybe he made a good decision because he's been in politics and is a senior person in the Republic of Kenya. Because there's this thinking that like I heard some people say that whatever, if you see Raila make a decision, that means he has seen something ahead, and
Hmm.
he believes, or out whatever he's doing, he has good intentions. So they're typical sycophants of Raila Molo Odinga, but again, remember Lowland, majority of members who were elected were from ODM, and
Yes.
so they also have followers respective in their respective constituencies, and for that reason, they also have a say to tell the people not to get out for this demonstration.
Okay, thank you. So from what you're saying, and maybe from your analogy, so I can confirm that they are satisfied with what has happened. Now they feel like, okay, what they were agitating for, yeah, is
Hmm.
now kind of like solved by
Not, I wouldn't really say that,
yeah,
but from the analyzation of what I've done
yeah.
and how people are speaking, they
Hmm.
are saying that let's give them time. Uh, we've seen the president just sent home some CS and he has nominated some, and we've seen the former premier saying that he's given the president technocrats
Yeah.
or some leaders who are going to help him turn around the whole situation. So people have this mentality that, okay, let's give them time and see if they're really going to do as per our expectations. So it is not that the people have kind of lost hope or what,
Hmm.
but they are they've just taken one step back to give the government a chance to see if they are really going to implement what they had raised.
Okay, that's okay. But from your own, as somebody who also hails from the same region, when you look at what has happened and maybe say that, okay, let's give government a chance, depending on what the Gen Z were raising, such as accountability, transparency, corruption, and all those. Do you feel like this is going to solve all those, even if you give them time? But for how long will we wait for to start realizing those changes?
Okay, from where I see it, among the issues which were raised by the young people, which included they wanted that the injustice that had been the injustice that were there, especially during the demonstration,
Mhm.
they wanted the president of the people in power to ensure that that issue is resolved and that the families who lost their loved one are compensated and that justice is given to them.
Yeah.
Again, there was issue of incompetency among leaders,
Mhm.
and you saw that they nominated so many ODM members, leaders, and from the interview while they were being vetted, of course, we saw, for example, somebody like Mbadi, the CS of Treasury. He had a good mastery of what that role takes. He has, from his explanation, he looked like someone who understood everything about that ministry. So the thinking out here is that maybe these people can deliver,
Mm,
that let them be given time, they might deliver. But from where I sit, my own opinion, they are going to find it a bit tough
mm,
because they're getting into a government that they never formed, a government that had a different approach on so many issues. Uh, so there's still going to be some conflict,
mm,
but I believe from the issues that had been raised by the Gen Z, some of them are going to be achieved because there is going to be fear among these leaders to get or to involve themselves in corrupt dealings because
mhm,
they know that should they get themselves in corrupt dealings, one, either either the people would come for them or they are going to be sacked. And the president, I'm quite sure from where I see it, that is not going to tolerate any leader who is going to get into corrupt dealings because he knows very well that he has to protect his image and he also has to do what is right for him to recapture power in 2027.
Okay, thank you so much. And you've talked about John Badi, about his mastery. And I think last week also we talked about him. And if you look at John Badi, ever since the government of Kenya Kwanza or administration of Kenya Kwanza came into power, he was the greatest critic of the government, especially when it comes to the financial policies that the government was putting in place or the tax measures that this government was putting in place. And now he has been given a chance to be in that place. And, how do you think, or in your own assessment, based on how he presented himself during the vetting, how do you think he's going to do in such a way to balance it in that the people of Kenya are not going to be overburdened, and at the same time, the government collects revenue in such a way that now you have equilibrium, whereby the Kenyan people are not hurt, and the government too is collecting revenue because we know through revenue collection, that's what runs the government.
Uh, John Badi has raised from his explanation, he raised the bar. And for him, he has is not going to, the people really expect much from him. As when William Samoei Ruto first appointed his cabinet, the former cabinet secretary of Treasury, Professor Njuguna, uh, as much as this thing belief that he didn't perform well,
Mhm.
but again, people are laying the whole blame to the president. This time round, should anything happen that is negative in that docket, people are going to blame one John Badi
Mm.
because the president has gone out and he has said that there was a lot of cry,
Mhm.
and now I've brought experts, I've brought ODM, we've now gotten into a broad-based government. And so he also said that, for example, John Badi has been speaking very well, so let him come and do the actions. So the president has played politics very well to an extent that should anything happen wrong in these departments, especially these ones that he has nominated the people from ODM,
Yeah.
these people are going to be the people who are going to be squarely to be blamed in those dockets
Okay.
because of his remarks and what he has said to the people. So these people, they have a big role to play to change everything. But again, uh, the, it's going to be tough for them because currently, if they're getting into dockets that had already planned for the whole year,
Yeah.
they cannot change anything. Procurements and everything and logistic, everything had been planned for. So their hands are currently tied maybe unless until next financial year. Uh, but the people, most people will not understand. Most people do not have that knowledge. They don't know that currently things are already on the move, and that these people are going to do less. So should they not do well,
Yeah.
it is going to be tough for them. But from where I see it, I
Mm-hmm.
think man is qualified to be a cabinet secretary of treasury. Uh, I believe he has what it takes. I believe he's been in this public accounts committee for quite some time. I mean, planning. When it comes to issues to do with planning of financial bill, he's been here, so he
Mm-hmm.
understands and he has good knowledge. Being that he's also a professional in that field,
Okay.
so as from where I see it, I believe he'll do well.
Okay, thank you so much. And remember also, I just want to also to hear your view, because remember there's some conditions that the prime minister gave the government, and he did not give us the remedy. What if those conditions are not met? One of them was to release all the abductees. Yeah. Second one was also to compensate those who were maimed and killed during the protest by the police, compensation. But he did not tell us, in the event that government does not compensate these people, what will happen. Because, as you know, in the history of Kenya, none of the uh, Kenyan citizens who have gone through police brutality or excessive force have been compensated. And this one, all the way from even during the recent Maandamamo, none of them were compensated, and we lost quite a number of Kenyan citizens. Even
Yeah,
before that, so
maybe
he did not give us, like, what if the government does not do this? Are we going to take back our expert, and what is the way forward?
uh, the painful the painful answer to that is these people have been elected already. ODM is part of government. That's a fact, and that there is little that they are going to do to ensure that justice is served to the people who lost their families, the people who are affected.
Mm.
Uh, if I can give you a good example, is if we look at the violence that we had in Kenya 2007, 2008,
Mhm.
up to date, a good number of more than 70 or 80% have not been compensated up to date.
Yeah.
If we come to 2017, uh, the little after 2017 election, there are some people who died. And when the former premier got into a discussion with the former president,
Yeah.
which led to the conversation of BBI, there was a promise that justice was going to be served to those people who lost their life. Up to date, we didn't see that.
Mm.
As much as there was this notion that Raila was like a deputy president or a co-president in that government.
Yeah.
In 2022, we've seen immediately after the election, people died. And again, during these demonstrations, people died. The former premier came out and said that they are going to ensure that among the demands they've given the president is that the injustices must be solved and that families must be compensated. I want to tell you this was like another handshake, and it is an handshake.
Yeah.
And Raila has just negotiated for his close political allies. We are not going to see anybody going to be compensated unless the young people maybe threatens again to go to the street. Maybe that is when they will do justice to these people. But from the history and everything that we've been seeing as a country,
Mhm.
these people have been forgotten. It's that sad.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's come to Maandamano. Then we will also give our thought about Jimi Wanjige, who today there was a heavy presence of police officers around his home, and we don't know what is happening. There is no any other communication of from the security officers giving the reason why. But Jimi Wanjige is not the very first time he's experiencing such. His home has always been a place of Police have always visited him most of the time, because one is a very big critic of the government. So that must be there. Now let's come to the Gen Z or the revolution itself. Yeah, because this was a revolution that was started, and it started so well. And along the way, there are some achievement, as I said earlier, that has been achieved, and there are those that have not been achieved. Now, if you want, what is the way forward to the movement or to the revolution? Is it the end of revolution, or what is the way forward? Because now this is what we should be discussing. Because from the look of things, yeah, I think the the combination, the alliance between Raila and William Ruto has really neutralized the Gen Z movement. So what is the way forward?
It is true that the alliance between Raila and Ruto has neutralized the whole. They've neutralized the Maandamamo, and for that reason, there was this fear among the youth. So the people wanted to demonstrate because they had received some threats from supporters of Raila and even supporters of Ruto that should they get out or should they go for demonstration, those people would not allow them to demonstrate because the supporters of William Samoei Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga believes that the issues which are affecting the people of the young people of Kenya, the youth, has been sorted by the appointments. They believe that the issue of appointing these new nominees, in their opinion, that answers the broad government or the inclusivity that the president, the former premier, talked about.
Mm,
So that is what really surprised the demonstrations of today. But if you ask me that what is the way forward, especially for the Gen Zs,
mm,
you've also asked if is this the last demonstration. Yeah, from the information that has been circulating in the social media, it is this was supposed to be the last
yeah.
demonstration. But again, it was the last subject to what would have happened, subject to the reaction of the government in power and the people in leadership. So it was still left open as much as they said this was the last,
Mhm.
depending with how the government is going to behave going forward, depending on how the leadership is going to behave, that might then influence what would happen in the near future. So there's so many things that was achieved by this demonstration, yes.
Mm.
But again, maybe you should give the president or the people in leadership to some time.
Yeah.
They try find solution to the problems which were raised,
Mhm.
uh, so that we see if they're serious. The issue of opulence, the issue of extravagance, the issue of incompetency. Let's give them time and see that once they get back to the office, are we still going to see the issue of incompetency, where the
Mm.
president would still come out and tell us that some cabinet secretaries do not even know their role, to an extent that the president says that he knows what is happening under the docket more than they know. So we want to wait and see. Should there be such kind of comments from the head of state?
Yeah.
Should we see some laxity in leadership of the Republic of Kenya?
Mhm.
Should we see opulence, extravagance, and all these things that had been raised? Of course, the people shall get back to the street to remind the government that they have a role to play.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want you also to get your view, because this protest that has been taking place, in your own in your own, maybe your own thinking on either, I think, because the protest was trying to me, I feel like the protest was trying to challenge the status quo, you know, and I don't think that the protesters really achieved that status quo. For instance, I think it was in 1992, yeah, we got, or we came into the multi-party democracy, you know, and the multi-party democracy was a democracy whereby all the political parties, we ran away from monolithic kind of like political party, where you remember days when Kanu was like chama ya baba na mama, no, nobody could come and uh, to vie or do what, because Kanu was there, And when we came into 1992, when political democracy, I mean, the multi-party democracy came, so many parties came. But if you look at keenly, the multi-party democracy is kind of like dying off, because what happens is people tend, when a government is formed, all the political parties tend to come together, So when they come together, they tend to around 10, or remember even when Azimio and Kenya Kwanza were coming to merge or coalitions, they come like so many parties, So it tells you, like in Kenya, there is no any other day that a single party will be ruling. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe my comment on that is, if you ask me my personal opinion,
Yeah.
if I believe that the whole intention of this demonstration was achieved, I
Mm-hmm.
will tell you no.
Yeah.
If it were under my power, or
Yeah.
if I was the leader of the young people,
Mm-hmm.
I would have ensured that the parliament is dissolved. I would have ensured that even the president resigns or goes home, because one, the parliament has not done their role. The parliament has not, by them not performing their role, they have ensured that all the negative things, all the problems that we are facing, some of these problems that they cause. When it comes to electing, for example, vetting of the cabinet secretaries, the
Mm-hmm.
ones that we've been having issues or problems with, they're the people who have been vetting them. They have been going through the parliament. Whenever issues of corrupt dealings are brought before the parliament, we saw the other time Linturi had a big case of of corruption. When he
Yeah.
was brought before the parliament, if it were not Kenya, if it were in a country that people respect their uh, people knows what leadership is, if
Mm-hmm.
people respect themselves and respects the constitution and even uh, the people that they lead, Linturi would have been sent home. But it is so unfortunate that we were being told that they even used money to bribe members of parliament, a lot of money, billions. And these billions, these were people, public money. So because this person or this honorable member passed through the parliament has failed. They have not done their job as a parliament. So my first thing, if I
Mm-hmm.
had power, is I would have dissolved the parliament. And that, even symbolically, what the young people did by invading the parliament, that means, because the constitution says that we've delegated power, we've to them to lead us. So
Yeah.
in one way or another, in a symbolic manner, the people had taken back the power that they had given to members of parliament, of which, from where I sit,
Mm-hmm.
the parliament is sitting there but illegally. Whatever they're doing, if uh, from where I sit and my thinking and my understanding of the constitution,
Mm-hmm.
they are doing illegal business in that house.
Oh,
So
oh,
the next thing,
but now, Makobura, because what I wanted to know from you, because what you're saying is right, but what I want to know from you is about when you look at the multi-party democracy, what people fought for. Yeah, it did not just come like that
the
easily.
good thing is people fought for it and then they got it, right?
Yes, but
People died first
but
in that.
are we utilizing it? Because as it stands today, as it stands today,
That is
let,
why I'm saying I
okay,
get it. Mhm.
let me ask you, and so that you can know the reason why I'm asking you about that, because the multipartism was to do away with monolithic party, a mono, like one party state. Yeah, that was the issue. When people like Orengo really fought Martin Shikuku and the rest, and the legends, they fought for that. And now, after getting that multipartism, what came after the multipartism was the coalition government, and where all the political party are kind of like, again, coming together under one umbrella. Yeah. And what happens is even like the ideology of the party, the policies, the values does not become a priority. And look at now what has happened. ODM, even though they deny that they just donated their experts, but their political party, now they've come together into Kenya Kwanza. Yeah. And when you look at the democracy part of it, one thing that he has done, he has weakened to some extent the role of opposition. Because remember, last election, even with Azimio, ODM was considered to be the party with the majority, followed by Wiper, then Jubilee. Yeah. But now, when you want to look at how, if we celebrated multipartism, we wanted a situation whereby it can give us that space whereby if I don't agree with another party, I can get somewhere to air my views. I could get a party that shares vision and my view, a party that can criticize that administration in power. Yeah. But now, the democracy that was fought for is not being realized, is not important no more.
We're not realizing this because remember, I've said the parliament should be dissolved because people who are in parliament are the people who are not following the constitution, especially the members of parliament. The constitution is very clear. For example, when we went for the election in 2022, the Azimio coalition had the majority.
Yeah.
But you saw what happened. Constitutionally, they had what it takes to be the majority leader. But since the members of parliament that were elected do not respect the law of the land, they shifted their allegiance to the ruling to the other side. So this tells you that the problem is the laws are in place, but these people have just decided not to follow the law. This is where the problem is coming. And that is why I've always said here, and I will say it again, the problem we have as a country is we have leaders who fail and think that they're above the law. Because they've been in political space for quite some time, they are using that advantage to think that, to mishandle people. They are taking that advantage because they've been in political space, they've looted enough and they have a lot of money. And because majority of Kenyans are actually going through a lot, the youth are not employed, they're using the money that they have looted to confuse the youth and even influence them when it comes to decision making. This is the problem we are having as a country. And from where I see it, my thinking is, if we were truthful and if we really respect and we want a good nation, we should not elect anyone who has ever been in politics for more than 5 years, because these people are not going to change anything. The problem of recycling old politicians, people who have been given, who've been in political space for quite some time, we should not expect them to change anything, and that is the problem we are seeing currently. Ruto has been in political space from 1990 something up to date. What
Not
do you
only
expect?
him, not only him, not
No,
only him.
I'm saying him because he's the president. So we cannot expect him as a president to change anything because he's been in this space. If truly wanted to change, he would have helped come up with laws that were going to change the operations and the runnings of the country. We cannot expect
But
him to stop.
Makobura,
Yes.
let me just ask you again. We put President Ruto included. Who usually makes the laws?
The parliament does.
And who are the members of the parliament?
The members of parliament have been elected
Yeah.
by the people. But now the issue is, we elect the members. I'm not saying as a people we have a problem. That's a
And
fact.
let me the reason why I was asking you that, I wanted to bring some point here, because like I don't think like we could single-handedly say that is Ruto, but we should include the brothers in politics and the brothers and cousins of
I,
politics. And
I, I said Ruto because
yeah,
he's the president, meaning everyone falls under him. That's why I've
so
mentioned.
let's take, yeah, it is true, but let's take like a scenario that we have today. Yeah, yeah, where uh, where a center of power has been shifted to Capitol Hill. You see that?
Yeah, I
And
remember I said,
let me give you scenarios, not even the one that we have with Ruto. Remember when the former president Uhuru Kenyatta shook hands with Raila Odinga, and Kirinyaga governor, Her Excellency Anne Waiguru, had a corruption case. And what happened when they shook hands? He went to Capitol Hill. The next day in the Senate, what happened? She was exonerated of all the corrupt charges. That is one. How many people, when now it becomes like the Capitol Hill became another, because like people used to say that is unaenda kuoshwa muosho moja, ukirudi wewe ni msafi kama pamba.
they were going to be sanitized.
Yes, kwa Kiswahili tunaona muosho, unaona.
Yeah.
So you find that even if not in the presidency, even now he's the president, and we agree that, but you will find right now even the Right Honorable Prime Minister will have power on some of the decision making, and that's what the democracy of multi-party was fighting. And the democracy of multi-party was saying, okay, if we have a political party that has won the election, they will be the administrative. They will be taking the administration of the government. So our work as the people who have not won, we will be putting them on check and making sure they do what is right. Yeah, yeah. So when you look at now the way things are, tell me how, for instance, you are going to put the government of Kenya Kwanza, especially from ODM members, you're going to put the government of Kenya Kwanza in check, yet there are people that we know for a fact for the longest time of their political career, they've been in ODM, and now they have a problem. Then you want to come as an ODM and say, oh God, we are not agreeing with that. Will it be possible? Or if it will be possible, to what extent? So that's why I'm telling you, when you're mentioning, you should not only mention the president, but you should mention the system and how it has always been played, all of them.
The system comprises of the president, members of parliament, the cabinet, and those people in leadership position. Remember, I said that the problem we have as a country is, and the reason why the youths did not achieve their demands is because of the people in leadership.
Yeah.
These people have managed to confuse the young people. And that is why I said that if it were under my power, I would ensure that the president goes home, the whole executive, the parliament is dissolved, and that anyone who has ever been in politics, anyone who has ever been given, who's, for example, these members of parliament, anyone who has ever been in parliament for more than one term should not be re-elected, because there's
But
some, I want to.
Bakobura, that one also, the constitution does not allow you to do that.
It does not, but remember I was saying that I'm trying to give my opinion, and I want to link it so that you understand what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay.
I respect the constitution that we have, and I want to tell you this. Do you know why most people, especially these members of parliament, once they are elected to the parliament, they will do what it takes no matter what, to ensure that they don't get, or they're not they consistently get elected.
Mm.
It is because once these people get there, they feel that they have power, they feel that they're above the law, because we've seen them behaving as if they're above the law. Again, it gives them upper hand to do business with government and to become more rich, or to get rich. It also gives them, it gives them some, it gives them power so that they can do anything they want. It also gives them time to loot, to an extent that the money looted, to an extent that they don't then respect the people who voted for them.
Yeah.
And then you see them now start behaving in a way that once they've looted and they have enough money, they don't now listen to the people. What they do is they bribe the people to elect them back, even if they have done nothing. We've seen so many members of parliament doing nothing, but they bribe voters. And voters, people are really suffering. People cannot even afford their daily meals. If you bribe them, they will simply vote for you. But a suffering person can always do anything. So this is where these people are capturing, taking advantage of the poor. They get there, loot everything, and then they have some power of trying to confuse the people. And this
Mm.
is why I'm saying that anybody who has ever been in politics
Mhm.
should not be given a chance by the people. Of course, the constitution allows them, but they should not be given a chance by the people, because they're not going to change anything. They've had time
Mhm.
to change everything. They've not changed. And that is why I was giving you an example of the president. And not just the president. Do you know why Raila keeps on vying for presidency? Kalonzo keeps on vying for presidency? Because these people knows that, why are we not asking ourselves, does it mean that in the whole republic, a country that has more than 50 million people, does it mean that the only Raila, only Ruto, Kalonzo, they're the only people who can become presidents of the Republic of Kenya? They're trying to stop people with leadership skills to come up. They don't want to even appoint people with leadership skills to this cabinet secretary. That is why they keep on recycling their close political allies, so that they block people who wants to come to make a change, because they feel one thing: they have looted. They are fearful of the fact that people who have not been in these positions are going to follow them to ensure that their looted wealth is captured back and brought back to the people. They are fearful because they know they've not followed the constitution, and whatever they've acquired in a way that is not right. So that is why you see them appointing the likes of former two governors, people who have been in politics for years and years. So I feel that the youth did not achieve what they wanted. If
Oh,
they have managed to get
mm.
the president out of power and the parliament, then from where I say it, I would happily say that we've achieved it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Makobura. I'm seeing Mr. Miguda is around. I hope you are not abducted, because yesterday I'll come to you and maybe explain to us how the Maandamamo was, because yesterday when we had a show here, you said that you'll be giving us brief of that. Makobura, just to follow up on what you said, and this is where I usually bring my conclusion and where I usually look at. The problem that starts to where we come to the government is about our political parties. One, the political parties that we have, and is one, people need to look at it. The political parties that we have, they are owned by individual, and they are positions that are designated for particular people. You know, that's why, for instance, when you come to the ruling party, right now we have UDA, it gives the patron or the leader of the party upper hand, yeah, to vie for to be the president, yeah. So they get that automatic ticket, despite the fact that the delegates might come. And another thing also, that what happens, it also comes back to the people of Kenya, and especially the people that subscribes to ODM, because not ODM, sorry, to any political party, UDA, Wiper, and what, because you find if, for instance, somebody you have different opinion and you're buying into a party, one of the things that even the party members will say that huyu amekuja kuangusha chama yetu, you know. And remember, all these political parties, there are a lot of money that they get from the government, which means they should not be owned by particular. And if it was in a country whereby people allow democracy of political parties, none of the leadership that is running for office should hold any position in that particular party, so that it can be a free and fair ground for anybody who wants to run for an MCA or what. Because you may find somebody wants to run for an MCA, or somebody wants to run for a governor, but he's the deputy party leader. And the same deputy party leader is in the organ of the party that makes those decisions. How sure are we that at the time of making decision, your competitor has defeated you in the nomination, and you say you're just going to leave it like that? So, and we've never seen, again, in the political parties, we've never seen them coming into public and saying about, like, this year we got this kind of money, this is how we used our money, and you give public accountability. I've never seen even all these political parties, including the UDA, including the Orange Democratic Movement, including the Wiper, where they've come out and say that public accountability to the money that they were given from the registrar of political parties.
Yeah. That is why I said.
That's why, like, now where the problem is.
Yeah, that's why I said that if everything was under me, I would tell the people of Kenya and the youths not to vote any politician who's ever been in politics, anybody who's ever held public, who's ever been in public domain. Because what you've just said, a good example, breakdown of it is, you see ODM, the two party leaders have been nominated to become cabinet secretaries and the chairman of the party. What does that tell you? These people now has a upper hand of becoming the president of the Republic of Kenya. So in one way or another, I think the best explanation is, if you are using these political parties, it's like a ladder. This is what is taking you there. So we have to come back, and this is why we are having problems in the Republic of Kenya, because the ladder that is giving us leaders is not a good ladder. These people trust themselves, they do business among themselves. We need to stand up as a people and say no to these political parties, and that is why I'm still insisting that anybody who is ever held a public place in the Republic of Kenya should not be given another chance to continue either being a member of parliament. The parliament should be dissolved. Under my thinking, the president should go home. We should have people who has never been in public whatever. That way we'll solve the problems that we have as a country. But with them continuing, we are still going to suffer.
Okay, thank you so much to our viewers. We have Miguda now. Somebody had asked Miguda earlier, and he was asking whether you abducted. Miguda, habari gani kaka?
Habari, niko salama sana ndugu yangu Benson.
Tuko salama, labda kutoka kwako. Naona kama tuseme kwamba your internet is not so much clear. You keep on breaking on the screen. I don't know.
Aunisikii?
You are breaking. Can you hear me? We can hear you, but you are breaking along the way. Or Makobura, can you get him clearly? Yeah.
Makobura, can you get from me?
Okay.
Yeah, you can proceed, but you're not clear.
Okay. Why is that I'm not clear? I think I was clear. I was saying,
yeah,
for those people who are inquiring earlier before I came to the studio,
yeah,
I was not abducted. I told you you don't need to be abducted. You have to resist abduction. You have to resist arrest. You have to maneuver. You don't need to give yourself to police, you see? So I'm very much safe and sound.
Okay, now, yesterday we had a conversation here with you. You were among the panelists, and you really promised us that the Nane is going to be one of the mother of all the rallies. But what we saw today was not as much as was anticipated. And when you look at the country, places like Kisumu, Migori, Siaya, some other parts of the country were very quiet. Things were moving normal, apart from Nairobi, that majority of the businesses were closed, and that was achievement. So tell us what happened.
I don't think that we Gen Zs, we have lost this movement.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that people did not come out in large numbers as expected doesn't mean that we have lost. If at all we have not managed to remove Ruto from power, it is the country, it is Kenya which has lost, not us. Us were just advocating for the change in this country. So those people who are laughing at us that we have not achieved anything, shame on them. It is the country which has not achieved anything. It is our country, nation, Kenya, which has lost because we are still having this rogue government. We are still having this bad system. So we are here with this system, and as those people like us who are not tired, will still continue pushing in other avenues. Through other avenues, we'll still continue pushing. You remember there are many cases in court. There are many forums. We are still pushing on, and we'll still push on until we make sure that we get our country where we want. So, to those people who might say that maybe we lost as young people, that we have no end goal, we have no leader. No, sorry, not us. It was not about us. It was about Kenya. So it is the Kenyan people which have lost. But Maandamano, it was successful in Nairobi because business were closed down and also government lost some billions. So you can't say that it was not successful. According to me, it was the mother of demonstration or grandmother or ancestors of demonstration. But we have achieved something because at least we have sent a message to the people. But the main point today, it is the Kenyan people who have lost, not us.
Okay, thank you so much. We are not saying that nobody is laughing or nobody is criticizing, but you know, we are looking from where we've come from and how the revolution started. If you look at and like today, and to my question to you, my brother, so what is the way forward? What is the way forward? Because you've mentioned again that you have so many avenues that you are going to achieve that. So maybe what are the way forward the same time, because the political processes requires so many. So as somebody who was on the ground, what are the resolutions now?
Yeah, first, the revolution was supposed to be televised. When the revolution was supposed to be televised, and the people who were supposed to televise the revolution were the journalists. You see today, the police, the federal police, the Kenya police, they were dealing with journalists one-on-one. So they were interfering with the television of the revolution. So we have seen now they have captured the mainstream media, even the international media. Today you saw Larry Madowo was directly fired with tear gas twice. So you see, these people today, they were dealing with journalists, so they want to deal with everything. So we are saying, we have known now they have captured the mainstream media, but they cannot capture social media. So way forward, as we have said before, that the end game of the revolution was to get overhaul of this system. As Gen Zs, not only Gen Zs, but as Gen Zote. So we had all generations included Gen X, Gen Alpha, millennial. So as Gen Zote, we are still going to put this government on toes. We are still going to oversight the current regime. Currently, we have seen they have sworn in the new CS. So it is not over until it's over. The current CS now, we are going to make sure that we oversight them, we put them on toes, make sure that people like John Badi, if they can get us out of this economy. So what are the new things they are going to bring into this government? So going forward, according to me, we still need to see William Ruto making drastic changes. The way today, in his speech today, he promised to deal with corruption. We want him to do the corruption once and for all. So going forward, according to me, we are still pushing. We don't need to be on the street. We can push through parliament. We can push through judiciary. We can push through executive. and we can push on social media, we can push on the magazines, newspapers. So we are still pushing, even here in this our media, we are pushing that going forward, we need to see a functioning government. We don't want a defunct government. Let this government function. We said earlier that we are not interested to form any coup or any anarchy. So the fact that Mr. President is still William Ruto, let him resolve our demands, let him resolve our grievances at his capacity. We are saying Ruto must go. You know, there were some people who are saying that Ruto must go. We meant that we are going to chase Ruto away from State House. Ruto must go. That's just an hashtag to make him function because we realize that this government is defunct. So Ruto must go was deliberately put to make him function. So we are here to see how he's going to revitalize this government, how it's going to make it function. So going forward, we are very clear that we are still here. This is our country. We are not leaving any soon. We still want jobs for young people. We still want employment for the graduates. We still need the promises, the manifestos which were said by the UDA. They should deliver. We want fertilizers for our farmers. We want good roads. We want better health services. So going forward is to make sure that this government implement whatever he promised, because we are in here and there is still time. We have much time. We can even deal with them at the ballot 2027 because we believe in democracy. So going forward, we were not criminals. I want to be very clear. We were never criminals. We were never terrorists. We were just citizens. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And now, you know, what we are now looking for, we are trying to look for good governance. And earlier, me and Makobura, we tried to weigh our thoughts, especially when it comes to the democracy of multipartyism. You remember in 1992, right? We attend our multi-party democracy, and one of the things that the multi-party democracy did was that we moved away from one-party state to multi political parties. And this gave us an opportunity where the party that has won the election is put on check. But when you look over the years or over a period of some time, we later came and got what we call coalition government, whereby two political parties or so many political parties come together with very different ideology and main purpose to form the government. That what went like that. Now, again, we are here, whereby it has brought us to the broad-based government. In your own submission, if you may, do you think the multipartism democracy that we fought for is really paying off?
The multi-party democracy, to some extent, it's paying off, or I can say yes or no.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when we were in the one-party state as a country, there was more of a dictator. Because, you know, like all of us were in Kanu, so we were having only one opinion, we were having only one ideology and one philosophy. But when there was introduction of multi-party democracy, so there was that diversion of opinions. So I cannot be intimidated. I can make my own political choice, as also enshrined in our Bills of Rights and Fundamental Freedoms in the Constitution of Kenya 2010, that we have a political choice. So the introduction of multiple democracy, according to me, it is a good one, because by the time we were in the one-party state, the Kanu regime, it was more of you have been put into one thinking. So you think with one person. So there is this diversionary of opinion. Like for instance, we have the if I felt that I cannot be given ticket in ODM, I can decide to join another party. So you see, there's that freedom of association, freedom of making political choice with this multiple democracy. So I cannot criticize multiple democracy. Me, I believe that Kenya being a multiple democracy, as also enshrined in the Constitution of Kenya, Article 4, is a good move, and we should embrace multipartyism, because there was a lot of dictatorial by that time.
Okay,
so
thank you. Okay, before you continue, and you will continue, you've mentioned that if you have they given options, and I want to paint for you a picture that happened between. Remember, immediately after election, there are quite a number of MPs from ODM who decided to go and talk to the president and visited the president in the house, and they were almost excommunicated from the party, to the fact that they went against the party. Yeah. And now we came again here, and we found like now the same party, a group of people or the head of the party deciding engine has talked to the president. It is okay. So at what point do we now talk about that democracy?
You know, even though we try to criticize democracy, from my understanding, democracy is the rule of the people. It is the
Yeah.
people who rule, not individuals, not the people who are elected in those several parties. So if some people have decided in their own wisdom or lack of the same to join the other party, let them join. They have that freedom of political association. There's that freedom of political choice. But the people are the one who are ruling. That's why in our current constitution, we have the Kenyan government. There's no opposition. We have one government. So they're just different roles which has been distinguished in the National Assembly. For example, the end of minority and majority. But all of us are in government. So these people who have lost election are using us to put us in opposition. That's why we said we as Gen Zs, we are partyless because we are aware that there is no position in this country. All of us are in government, but we are in government as partyless because these people are using these political parties to divide us, to separate us. That's why we say we don't want this issue of separating us. So we understand this political party. For instance, if you want to get out of ODM, you want to join government, it's on your own volition. And these political parties they are just made to make other people to have their way into government. For instance, look at ODM. In Nyanza, if you don't sing about Raila, high chance for you getting ticket is low. So people like David Ochieng decided to form their own political party, and they've made it to parliament. You see, so this issue of multiple democracy, they can assist other people to make their own political choice. For instance, the people of Ugenya might love David Ochieng, but because he was out of ODM, and if you could have one party like ODM, they could have elected a legislature whom they did not like. But the fact that there's democracy, you have a choice to choose a leader of your own choice, whether it's from any other political party, doesn't matter. That's why we are saying, as we Gen Z, we are partyless, but we are in government, but in the same government, we want to make it functional. So do not accuse us of anything. There was no any coup, there was no any anarchy.
Okay, thank you so much, Makobura. We are not accusing, but we are just trying to analyze and look at the nitty gritties of something and like educate ourselves, because some of these things are we've come and come. Makobura, also, I want to engage you on an issue here that Mako Bigud has really talked about, that we are all in government, and that is something that we know. When you look at the constitution before 2010, the one we had, I think like that was a constitution that was left for us by the colonizer. If I may, I might be wrong in my, yeah, it was different in terms of the parliamentary, whereby it designated the opposition, the official opposition. And the official opposition was coming as a result of the second majority with the members of parliament after the election. That was how it was in the parliament. And if you look, it worked well. Then when we got 2010 constitution, it was said that now we have the minority and the majority. And now what happens, even though we are in the same government, even prior, before 2010, we were in the same government. Everybody is the government because the country belongs to us. But we have administration who is administering at this point, who is in the power of administration, So right now we call them the majority. The majority are the people who are in administration. Yeah. But there are cases that can be different, and I can draw different cases. Sometimes in the US, you can find that Democratic Party might have the executive, and the Republican Party might have the majority, both in Senate and in House of Representative. It also can happen in that in the House of Representative, the ruling party, either Democrat, can have the majority in the House, Yeah. But if you have the majority in the House, you get the speaker, you know. Now the minority comes in the Senate, you know. So it's vice versa, but all of them are in the government. So the minority plays the role of the opposition, and this is to check the government. Yeah, yeah, it's to check the government. So the way right now, before appointment of Opiyo Wandayi, as it stands, he was supposed to be the person who checks the government. Yeah, who checks the government? He takes that role because the constitution took away the opposition role. Remember, before the 2010 constitution, when you are running, the president had to run as a member of parliament. I don't know whether you remember that. The opposition leader has to run also as a member of parliament. Yeah. So as a president, you have a constituency that you are representing. Then as a leader of opposition, you have a constituency that you are representing, which is quite so much different today, because the president, the executive, will run as an executive without representation, having a constituency. Then the minority leader is going to be chosen or is going to be elected via the parliament based on the numbers, where our country still do not follow the laws, you know. So maybe to just engage you about what Miguda said about the minority and the majority, and all of us are in government. Maybe you have a different perspective.
I think from my understanding is we had almost two parties that ran, let me say two top parties that ran for the presidency. Of which coalitions, of which we had the Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio.
Mm-hmm.
So from my understanding of how government should be run is, remember Azimio had their political leader who was running for presidency. Kenya Kwanza also had the same. So I think we need to relook. That's why I'm still insisting that we need to look into our constitution. There's some bit of it that still does not is not really favoring us, but instead it's making us have more problems.
How?
If I'm coming to that, we are all in government, yes. It doesn't mean that Raila being in the position, if maybe he lost with these people, they can have a conversation with the government, yes. But it is wrong for them to. It is wrong for the opposition. I mean, the other side of political party to even get into that, to be given positions in a government that they were opposing, because that simply means that they're going to have different opinions. They should try to ensure that they put the government in check and on toes, so that any negativity that they've seen within this government, they should capitalize on that to ensure that they check and see the problems and where the people are not happy, so that when they are coming back for the elections, they can bring those issues out and they get to learn to know where to, the kind of leadership that they should offer to the people. So in my thinking, Opiyo Wandayi, from my thinking, of course, he was like an opposition leader.
True, not he was opposition leader. He was.
How then, what are we expecting as a people if the opposition leader has then shifted and is now a cabinet secretary in a government that he opposed, of which there's nothing wrong with them going to have a discussion, but them being appointed to being appointed, and now they're answerable even to the president. Who is going to fight for the minority? Who is going to represent the minority? So this is where I'm having a problem with the constitution, because maybe it needed to be somehow clear, because another explanation is when we got to this election, 2022, I have said that the Azimio had the majority. What was wrong for them running a majority side of the parliament? Because that is what really demonstrates. I mean, that is what really democracy is all about. Why is it that because of the selfish issues or mentality, they are shifting away from running a majority party, going to the government side? That is wrong. And that is why I'm saying we have a problem with the people that we elect. We elect people who do not really have leadership skills.
Now, Makobura, I want to challenge something that you've said. One, not that they do not have leadership skill, and Miguda will come later and maybe also can say a word on it. You know, when you look at the 2010 Constitution, it was borrowed. Yeah, majority of it was not our own making. The drafters borrowed too much about the Western Constitution, especially when it comes to the legislation part. It was heavily borrowed. And one of the things that they did not look into, when you come to the Western area, Western regions or Western nations or European nations where it was heavily borrowed, one thing, they have the politics or the political parties that have what ideology, what they stand for. You know, what they stand for. In their parties, they don't envisage a situation whereby Democrat and Republican can come together to form a coalition in the United States. The Democrats will always be Democrats. The Republican will always be Republican with their values that they cherish. You cannot find that. And what happened was, after borrowing that, was our country, we are not so much very faithful to what we mean. You know, that's where the problem is. The problem is not constitution. The problem are the people who are supposed to respect it, are the people who are doing that. Do you want to tell me today, Makobura, that when even the experts were being donated to the broad-based government, Baba was not aware that what he was doing was wrong?
Of course, he was, and I'm having a problem with the Raila, because remember when he had a problem with the government when he was a member of parliament of Langata Kibra, when he had a different opinion with the president then Moi, he went back, he resigned and went back for election, of which that is what real democracy depicts.
Yeah.
But again, in this situation where he had shown us the way, and again, ni kama wanasemanga ati umbwa wanaweza fanya mambo zao alafu tena wasahau warudi tena huko. So Raila Amolo Odinga is simply confusing the people as much as
it's not Raila Amolo Odinga, and this is what I want to tell you. It's not, because even when the president immediately after being given being declared by the Supreme Court that you are the president, he went ahead and started poaching from opposition. Do you want to say that he did not know that he was going against the law?
He knew, but I'm singling out Raila because he's the one who has taught us so many things when it comes to democracy. He's always shown us the way. So
he's also showing you that the same democracy you can.
So that's why we're having a problem with him. If you tell us that this is the direction going to town, and then until you take us to town through that direction, and then when we are now back, we want to go to town, instead of telling us to follow that way, you are giving us another direction. You are confusing us. Raila Amolo Odinga would have maintained the natural ability that is always shown, the truthful man that he's always been when it comes to following democracy and everything. So him actually negotiating with this government and then after the president had poached some of his soldiers was not really right. And that is why most Azimio leaders still are having a problem with Raila, because Raila told them much about democracy and what and gave them reasons why it was wrong for them to speak to get into a conversation with the president. But then the same Raila sneaked when they were not aware and went and joined the president. So the issue of insincerity and trust among our leaders is a problem.
Okay, thank you so much. And I would want to say thank you to the following: Tuni Muhammad. Thank you so much for joining us. It is quite a pleasure to have a conversation with you. Miguda, let me just bring you, and maybe you can also talk about what we are discussing about the goalpost shifting and ignoring the the constitution that people really fought for. And do you feel like even the majority sometimes give Baba a leeway, because like you will find, okay, people will always say that Baba has really fought for this country, so it is okay whether he does it or not, because that is some of the things that people say. They don't say even if he ignores the constitution is okay because he has really fought for this country.
In my opinion, I think this issue of Baba this, Baba that should be stopped in this country, because I was calling a friend of mine in the village. Then he was like, he was asking me, at you guys, why are you going for demonstrations? And Baba's joined government. Then I asked him, what have you said? They say, me, I can't go against Baba. So this thing of people who don't go against Baba, whether it's making your own decisions, people are just following Baba. They used to be applied some times ago when people were not that enlightened, that there were three rules in this country. Mostly Baba stronghold. Rule number one, Baba is always right. Rule number two, Baba is never wrong. Rule number three, if rule number two fails to apply, they fall to rule number one. Those are just political sentiments. Baba sometimes is wrong. Baba can make mistakes. You know, Baba has been misleading to people to some extent. Baba was putting pressure to some ODM members who party hope to UDA that they should go to disciplinary committee. And in fact, even Baba proposed an amendment to our Political Parties Act in Parliament, that they should amend that Political Parties Act so that once you are elected in ODM, if you party hope, you go back to the people to seek fresh mandates. We have a precedent in this country. Baba himself is a living example. He once resigned and go back to the people, and he was re-elected to the legislature, that's parliament. Baba should stick sometimes to his words. Baba should not be saying this, saying that, because he's making a lot of confusion. He's not consistent. He himself is a good example, and is a president that he wants to resign and seek fresh mandates to the people and come back to parliament. So, if you want to strengthen our democracy and to strengthen our multi-party democracy, the one we are purporting to have in our constitution, Article 4, for us to strengthen that multi-party democracy, let us amend our Political Parties Act that once you are elected in ODM or UDA, you stick to that party until next election. I think that's what you are saying by Democrats or Republican. Me, since I was born, no, since I started following this politics, the first time I started following politics of USA was when Obama was being elected from Senate to president. Obama's been a live member, Democrat to date. There's no party hoping for Obama. The people were Republican for life. You see, for us to strengthen our multi-party democracy, we need to amend our Political Parties Act that once you are elected, if you want to hope to another party, resign, seek fresh mandates to the people, so that we can have a multi-party democracy that is functioning. So I believe
Okay.
Baba should sometimes be consistent and should sometimes stop misleading people about him being right or him not being wrong.
Okay, thank you so much. And something that I would also want to remind our viewers, in the early years of Mr. Donald Trump, who is now the Republican candidate for the race for State House, he used to be a Democrat, by the way, and he used to be good friend of the Clintons family back then. But along the way, he changes his political party and went back to Republican. But even though he went back to Republican, so he's so much stick to the Republican. And that's where we were talking about our political parties and our political leaders in those various political, they keep on moving chairs depending on how things are working. Because one of the things that really might have informed the broad-based government, Marco Bura, if you are there with me, people used to ask, even Baba himself asked, if Ruto goes, what next? And we were going to be left with the deputy president, Honorable Gachagua, you know, and they said that the Gachagua is worse than even Ruto. So you come and ask yourself that at what point do we say that now something is wrong? Maybe something is wrong with the executive, but just because one of them is not worthy before your eyes, or it does not share your political view, now we have to embrace what is bad, you know, what is unethical, or what is, you know, it depends. And that's say that, okay, now let's donate our experts so that could come and help, you know. So those are the kind of questions that we are asking. And the moral, what is the moral standard, especially of our politics and our political parties and our leaders? At what point should we as a people say that, okay, this is not our value, but since who is there is a bit better, you know, is not worse as we thought, that as compared to the second person, so let's just keep him, you know. So the morality, or we call it the sanctity, or the politics that we have, like the healthy kind of like politics that we need to have, can the Gen Z, because the Gen Z also, we cannot forget to mention them in this political process, because the way they came with a narrative that nobody has ever came with, a narrative of tribalism. We don't see tribe in you. Yeah, what we are looking for, we are joined by one thing and one thing only: our country, Kenya, the country that we love, the country that our forefather really fought for. That is what we are joined with. It doesn't matter what tribe, place, where you're coming from, class, poor, rich, what, let's come together and let's fight for our country. And if you look at that and look at the what I call the status quo that has been there, that has always been, tribe has always been a factor, party has always been a factor, you know, and now you are coming to find the status quo, you know. So that was what they were fighting. And you saw how the reaction was, and the reaction was, let's come together. Yeah. So do you feel like if they continue doing that, some of this status quo that we are seeing, if we have a problem, we come in to form in coalition government. If we have a problem, we sit down and have a negotiation, but we don't fix the real things. Can the Gen Z and their protest and their demand change this status quo so that we can have something that is very new? That if you are talking, we are not talking about a particular tribe, or we are not talking about particular somebody, but we are making a decision as a nation, that if we feel that as a nation we are not doing well, we come together and say, no, we don't need you. This is our nation. We need to make decision together, rather than a few making decision for us.
Yeah, I think we've gotten to a point where, as a country, we need to appreciate the fact that we understand ourselves. We need to appreciate that we can, when we have an issue with the government, we can come out and remind them that there are issues here, and then they have a mandate to either to solve the problems that we have or to not solve. So yeah, we've made a step as a country, and I think in Africa we are one of the few countries where a citizen can come out and speak directly to the government or to the people in power, and that they are given that right by the Constitution. So we've made a good step as a country, and if we follow this Constitution to the latter, I believe that we will do more, and we can, as a people, we can tell the government that this is what we need. We are the citizens of the Republic of Kenya. When we've elected few people to represent us, like now, if we give maybe the percentage, we have like 500 leaders who are leading us, who are making decisions on our behalf.
Mm-hmm.
They might not know everything that is happening in all parts of the country. They might
Yeah.
not know what the normal people want. So when we speak out, in one way or another, we help them with the right information which they should put in place, which should influence their decisions when they're doing development. So we've done well, yes, as a country, and the young people have set a good example. And personally, I would like to see more of these brave people coming out to remind the government that they have a role. They have uh, a treaty with the people, a treaty that they have to look into. And if they're getting out of it, if they're not ready to continue with the treaty, they have to come back to the people and tell the people, I got into a treaty with you. I'm unable to do it because of this and this. And then the people makes another decision. I think that is where we should go as a country that talks, a country that listens. That way, we are going to have, we will actually become the most developed country in Africa. So I want to take maybe this opportunity to remind the people in leadership that they are subjects of the people. They are few when it comes to representing. There are few people who have been given that mandate. Let them listen to the people. Among the people, they are experts. Among the people, they are poor. Among the people, they are rich. Among the people, there are people with knowledge and people with good knowledge. So they have to come down and listen to the people. If they do that, truly we will have a country where everyone would feel that they belong, everyone would feel that their issues are being understood by leaders.
Okay, thank you, Makubura. And Muhammad Abdukadir, thank you so much for your comment. And I agree with you 100%. Watu wafanye kazi, register your vote. 3 years is little time. Just vote out Ruto. Let these guys who are there in US, UK not mislead. And I agree with you 100% because, like, even if you look at our constitution, the constitution has our Katiba has so many privileges on how we call it the political process making. And one of the things is it has given us demonstration as a way in which we can advocate for ourselves. And that was done in the entirety from from June the 25th until today, which has been exercised. And there's so many things that have been achieved within that 1 month. Another thing is about registration, because this is where the matter is, because this is where the leaders are being voted for. So because if we don't register and we keep on talking, or people do not register massively, it's not registration, massively. So during the election, you make sure that you wake up very early and vote a particular leader that you want. And Makubura, you talk about calling upon the leaders to listen to the matters. And also, as we call upon the leaders, all the voters also should start calling out themselves and say that what is the right way forward. We cannot only call about the leaders and yet ourselves, we're not calling ourselves out and say that, okay, enough is enough, and these are the qualifications that we will be looking for when we are electing leaders. The young people also, it is now that time that you should now offer yourself for this leadership. Be in those decision-making tables. If you're not in those decision-making tables, in those legislation sessions, still we will be where we are, because we've seen this has always come all the way from ever since we got our independence. So this is a learning process, and this is a very good, perfect opportunity that the young people should offer themselves for the leadership positions. The young people should turn out in large numbers during voting. The young leaders also should, those who have not registered, let us turn out to register in numbers, massive numbers. So I agree with Muhammad Kader for your comment, and is 100% correct. And another thing also that I would say before inviting Makobo, that let us, the young people, be ambassadors of our community. Yeah. And how do we become ambassadors? We become ambassadors by going back to the villages, talk to our mothers, the kind of good governance or the kind of good people that we are looking for in the election. Tell them how that 50 shillings that are being given, or that 1 kg of sugar, is not solving the issue. So they should focus on leadership, not tokens that we are being given. Miguda, thank you so much. Maybe you can also come in and contribute.
I think as Gen Zs, we have tried our best, and we have tried as a people, and because there are some achievements we have made,
Yeah.
we can't say that it is we have lost so much, but there is a, I can say it as a win-win situation, because our main objective was to reject finance bill, but finance bill was rejected in totality. All clauses were deleted and it was rejected, until they are now looking for an appropriation of finance bill to introduce into parliament. So that one we have achieved. I think also IG Koome, whom we suspected, gave an operational police order in Nairobi to shoot our protesters, also resigned. And also the cabinet was dissolved, though they have recycled, reshuffle, invite their friends, but at least we have made a change in the executive. So the only thing that is, I'm regretting that we have lost our comrades, those people who died in the demonstration. It's very unfortunate, and we have lost many comrades. May their soul continue resting in eternal peace. But as a country, at least we are pushed somewhere. We will continue pushing until we get the right time. Talking about way forward again, I would like just to be a bit of realistic, and I will concur with our viewer Abdi Kadir Mohammed, and also I want to echo what Brother Benson has said. As Gen Zs right now, let us mobilize the way we are now good in mobilization. If you can mobilize and made a CBD to be standstill. Let us mobilize. So we are urging IBC, kindly roll out those voter registration, bring them out the date so that you can bring a timeline for mass voter registration. So as James, let us mobilize for a mass voter registration when the timelines of the IBC has been rolled out for the mass voter registration. After that, let us continue with the civic education to our people in the villages, people, our parents, our elder people, because I was receiving calls. They were saying Baba is final. No, Baba is not final. Baba can't be final. Let us have civic education to these people. Then during the election day, let us mobilize even 10 days to election. The way we have done this Nane. We started mobilize 15 days ago. So let us mobilize so that we come out in large number. Imagine if you can mobilize to that extent, we are going to kill two birds with one stone. We are going to get the overhaul of, we are going to dissolve parliament because we are sending all of them at home. We are going to dissolve that parliament at ballot, and we are going to send the executive away at the ballot. So we will kill two birds with one stone when we mobilize for mass voter registration, when we mobilize for large voter turnout so that we can elect fresh leaders. And also, let us offer ourselves for these things. The minimum requirement for an MCA is from certificate. And maybe you have a driving license or certificate of computer. If you have no qualification after college or university, because all of us cannot make it, you can offer yourself to be an MCA. Let us offer ourselves for this leadership. Let us offer ourselves for these nominations. Let us, those who are able to go for MPs, go for these things, governors, go for them. Because if you go for them, we can mobilize, we can rally behind you. So it's just a matter of time. Next time when we come back to this studio after these 3 years, we'll have honorable so and so,
Yeah.
honorable so and so. So if we can use this tactic, let us not lose hope. We are on the right trajectory. Let us just use the same tactic. We mobilize for mass voter registration, mobilize for mass voter turnout, so that we can kill these two birds with one stone.
Okay, thank you so much, Makobura. I think we've been here for so long, and I think like we've talked of what we can talk about that is required. And we want to take this opportunity to thank our viewers who are here with us and have left, and those who are still here with us. It is always a pleasure to have you on the show, and it's always a pleasure to engage with us in our podcast. This podcast is a way we are doing civic education, and we are asking ourselves, what is the way forward, and especially for the country, because some of the things that we speaking about and calling them out, if they are rectified, we might not see their benefit, but the generation that is coming after us will really, really appreciate a good job that we've done as other people of Kenya, who share the same heritage and who is united under one flag that has the color of black, red, white, and green. And remember, for us to get that flag, it did not just come easily. Somebody sacrificed his life for it. There are people who have sacrificed their life in good way. We are talking of people like Tom Mboya, those people who have paid a price for this country. We are talking of people like Pinto Gama, who have paid a price for this country. Not even to mention Dr. Robert Ouko, especially from Ruland. So many of them, JM Karaoke, the Didan Kimathi, so many of our leaders who have really, really paid a price for this country. Talk of CMG, the CMG, the first lawyer that represented the Mau Mau CMG, if you know from CIA. You know him? CMG who?
I know of Quebec.
Yes, that is him. The CMG Kodek. Kodek was the first lawyer to represent the Mau Mau in the war. A black.
Arguins Quebec, it was one of the brightest first lawyers that we have in the Republic of Kenya.
So
he did one of the best representation, and we thank God that those people existed and they made the way for us.
So I tell you, so this country, so many people have paid a price for it, and so many people are still paying a price. We saw young people who also paid a price here, who lost their lives, and their lives are not in vain. They've been recorded in the history of this country as young heroes of the century. So Makobura, maybe let me give you this opportunity to say your last remarks to our viewers as we wind up the show. And remember, tomorrow we will also be here just to talk about our country and to talk about the way forward for the Gen Z. Not only the Gen Z, to religious leaders. What kind of religious leader do we want to see? Because the fight is not only going to be the Gen Zs. The fight should be a multified religious leaders. We want religious leaders who understand what people want. We don't want the envelope religious leaders. That is something that we want. Also the politicians who understand what we want, and we understand them, that they are fighting for our challenges. So it's going to be, it should be a conversation of everybody and say that this is the way forward. Makobura, your last remark.
Maybe my last remarks to the young people of Kenya and everyone who participated in one or another in the demonstration, especially when it was when we first had it in June 2020, in June that 25th. I want to remind them that up to this point, we've not lost anything as a country. I mean, when it comes to the fight that we were the issues that we were fighting for. To those people who died, may their souls rest in peace. And I hope that the people in leadership would compensate those families, because they died fighting for their rights. They died reminding the people that they elected that they are not doing, they're not putting in action the promises that they promised. So I want to also remind the people in leadership that kindly let them listen to the people. These citizens, some of them are their brothers, some of them are their sons, some of them are their college mates, area mates. Let us come together and listen to one another. Let us come together and reason together, because this country belongs to all of us, and we have a mandate to ensure that we do what is right. With listening to one another and hearing the voice and the complaints, we shall get to where we want to go as a country. We have the potential of becoming the best country in Africa because we have the best brains, we have the best country, we have the fertile land, we have rivers, we have all the resources. Let us come together, speak to one another, speak with each other. Let's come with solutions that can help us improve our country. And let us always not lose hope. We can always do it. Thank you.
Miguda, is
To
Miguda
viewers
listening?
is that, yeah, my last remarks to our viewers is that first, our struggle was not in vain, and it has never been in vain. We don't regret going to the street. We don't regret protesting. We will never regret. We are very much happy as a nation. At least we have made a step. There's a move, and we'll continue making steps as we move on as a nation. Do not focus on dashing squirrel. This UDA ODA merger. These are dashing squirrel. These are passing cloud. They have made their way. They have their day. Our day will come. They will go. They can't go beyond 2032 as our constitution. So we are Kenyans and we are still young, energetic, we are very promising, we'll still make it. To our viewers, let us focus, let us continue pressing, let us use those avenues because they have tried to fight back. It was obvious they were going to fight back. And when they will fight back, so my advice to young people, provide civic education because if you could have voted for the right candidate in 2022, you could not have brought us to this mess. It is those people who voted Ruto that has made us to come here. There was opportunity at the ballot for you to vote the right candidate. You mess up with your time, you mess up with your civic right, voting the wrong candidate, you are bringing us this mess. But we did not regret it because we are not tiring. So I decided to go to the street, even though that was not my candidate. But because I'm a Kenyan, I love my country. If something is going wrong, I must join my fellow countrymen. So we are not Gen Zs, we are Gen Zote because we are all involved in this thing. Next time, if you got an opportunity at the ballot, kindly do not vote based on your tribe, do not vote based on your stomach. Vote using your brain and vote the right candidate who can serve you without any regret. That's my last advice to our Gen Zs.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. And you've said our day will come, and it just reminded you. I don't know whether both of you are good listeners. There's a Jamaican musician is called Culture, and he has a song called Payday. And when you listen to his song, is talking about, hey slave master, when will this payday be? I don't know whether do you listen to songs?
Yes, we do. Yes, we
But
do.
do you know?
Songs are songs are very important things in, especially in our culture, because through songs we spread messages, very serious messages to so many people. Through song, we can be understood, and
Yeah,
we've seen some musicians, by the way, who composes serious, nice songs that has message,
yeah,
songs that reminds us from where we've come from, songs that are encouraging. So songs are nice. We should embrace that,
yeah,
and we do listen. Yes,
yes.
we might not have specific wording, but of
Okay.
course
So
we
maybe
do.
when you go to before you sleep tonight, just go and look for Culture and listen to his song. Is called the Payday. He's asking slave master, when will this payday? When will this payday be? And that one also, we cannot forgo, just not go without thanking people like Bien, who made songs that has really energized young people, asking about Tomboya,
Yeah,
Giuliani.
maybe to say something, that song has just reminded me something that I saw this evening.
Yeah,
Uh, there was some news that the police had raided Jimmy Wanjigi's home.
yeah,
That song has just reminded me of something.
yeah.
I'm not so sure about the specifics of what was happening at Jimmy Wanjigi's home,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to say something on that. if suppose if you looked at that and the swift response that the police had when they were going at Jimi Wanjigi's home, if they would translate that to either save the people of Kenya, I think it would be having a good country. It really doesn't make sense that police of that magnitude would run to just go and arrest one person with all those big vehicles. I think it's not right as a country.
Let me see if we can play it. Yeah. Let me see if we can play. Let me see.
To they mopped up this particular area, and now they attempted to get to know what and how this happened. So at this particular moment, we're going to try and talk to members of this particular eyewitnesses and also members of the family. So right now, we're just going to go across the road because we've spotted members of Jimi Wanjigi's family. We're just going to try and ask them, if there's anything that happened and how is it, how did all this unfold? So, excuse me, sir, Seth Olale from Citizen TV. Member of the Wanjigi's family?
Yeah, my name is Mina. I'm Jimmy's son, so maybe I can move over here.
Okay.
Yeah. I think a better person to talk to is our lawyer, Osiamo, to explain what has happened. Yeah.
From even as he explains, from your own assessment, being a family member, you are obviously shocked by the events.
Okay, Makobura, I think that gives you how the things were. It was heavy police presence and
I saw the heavy police presence, and if I'm not so sure of what happened, but Jimi Wanjigi is just one single person in the Republic of Kenya. So if suppose he has maybe guards or bodyguards, I think just one pickup of police was just enough. It is so threatening being a Kenyan citizen that if you have a different opinion or opinion that people in power believes or things that they are not very much okay with, they start sending that kind of police. It is not really okay from where we sit because we are all Kenyans. And if maybe someone has gone against the law, let them just do it the right way. We know that, of course, Jimmy is a politician. He might have supporters, but the kind of police that would even traumatize the family or people or any Kenyan. So let us not inflict or make people suffer some medical problems that we can avoid. Let us handle issues diplomatically.
Okay, thank you so much, Makobura, and to our viewers, thank you again so much for being here with us for all. This is quite a long time. It's almost like 2 hours. We very, very much appreciate. If you are here for the very first time, kindly join us by subscription. And also what I want to say about those of us who lost their lives fighting for that accountability and transparency, they're not forgotten. In our hearts of hearts, we will always remember the likes of Rex Masai as the first casualty by the police. It will always be in our memory. And when the history of this country will be written, his name will always appear in the books of heroes and heroines as those who made this country to be where it is right now. When history will be written in his name, one of the things that will be written in his name, that in his death, the finance bill was rejected. In his death,
for the first time in the history of Kenya, for the first time, it was rejected for the first time.
Rejected for the first time. So in his death, his history will be written. Finance bill was rejected, in his death, it will be written, the government dissolved, the CAS were dismissed. In his death, the broad-based government was formed. In his death, we would say the political class came together when the threat.
And the parliament was also invaded.
The parliament
And
was so much
took over power from the parliament, yeah.
So for the brothers and sisters who lost their lives, you've left us with a lot of history. Even though we know that your family are so much in pain for losing you, but at the same time, we are also share your pain. I know we cannot feel it the same way you are feeling it because this is a part of your family. But in our history, in our hearts, when such like discussions will be taking place in this platform, we will not go or shy away from mentioning your name for the contribution you made to our country. My panelist, as always, thank you so much for taking your time to be here with me. Again, to our listeners and subscribers, thank you so much as always. Thank you for your support. It is because of you. That's why we are here. Thank you so much, and may God bless you, and may God bless our beautiful country of Kenya. Thank you.